What's going on YouTube? This is 3Z Inferno. So I just got back from the airport. All my flights. Man, what a trip. So I guess this is my video log. I'm gonna tell you first about. I'll just start off when I got there. I guess got there Wednesday night, 10 o'clock. Had to wait for my NorCal friends, so I went to pick up the rental car, and I was talking to the guys, and we hit it off. We were pretty chill, so. They decided to upgrade me. They had nicer cars. So at first I had a Ford Focus, and I was like, let me see if I can get a better car. So I was just talking to them, and the guy was like, oh, you just have one friend? I was like, no, why? He was like, well, because we have this Camaro right here, and you could take. And I was like, whew, a Camaro? Man, I really wanted to, but I didn't want one person to feel uncomfortable sitting in the back. So that thing cramped. So, passed on that. But then he gave us a nice luxury Volkswagen Jetta, so took it, and that was perfect actually. We needed all the space. And it was interesting time because we got when we got there, the Bruins just won the Stanley Cup. So when I got off the airplane, people were running off, trying to get to the TV, and like at the airport bar, they're passing out free beers, so I got a free beer. That was cool. Yeah, then picked up my friends, got to the hotel, slept. Thursday we hit up downtown Boston. Went to Legal Seafood. We thought it was a nice seafood restaurant, and it was delicious. Not gonna lie, but it's actually a chain restaurant, and we didn't know that. Anyway, then slept Thursday. Play tested, did whatever. Friday went to pre-registration. Picked up a lot of stuff. There was a lot of cool people. They were from everywhere around the East Coast. We were mostly only just us three were from the West Coast. No, and I was still learning my deck, I guess, the water synchro deck that I played at the YCS. So I was still playing, learning the best plays and all that stuff. Just making sure I know what to do in every matchup. And so I played against the fairy deck. I played against on plant deck, I played against Gravekeepers, and I did pretty well against all of them. So I felt pretty confident. So Saturday morning, woke up, got good 8 hours of sleep. It was perfect. We were downstairs talking to some random people who were also Yu-Gi-Ohs. We just talked about matchups, and that's all. And got there. And I guess I'll tell you every deck I faced. Round one, I played Worms, and I've never played them before, but I know what they do, and it was pretty interesting. I got really lucky actually because game one, he nebulaed me during my end phase. He drew 2 cards, and he was gonna spank me, but he drew all his Worm Kings. He had one in hand and drew one off Nebula, and didn't have anything special summon. So that's how I survived and won game 1. Game 2 he won, and we were about I sort of scooped because there was about 1 minute left, and I didn't want to draw, and I told him that, and he said I agree. So he basically had it. I could have kept stalling to fight for it, but I didn't. So I just said, let's go to game 3. We're done. Shuffle, and we just kept playing. And we went into time. A judge came over, and he drew a perfect setup, but he drew no monsters. So in the end, I hit him with 1 Tengu slap, and after that, I just stalled. I put my everything in defense mode. I foolish a glow bulb and put it in defense mode, end of turn, and that was it. And then I just won like that. In game 2, Bayou Turbo. It's interesting actually. I'll tell you why later. Bayou Turbo. His name is Christopher Mendoza, I think, if I remember correctly. You'll know why later. Why I remember that name. And I pretty much thrashed him. Round 3, I played Samurai. Round 3, and he never even pulled a Shien on me. He pulled a Trishul on me, which I Veilered, and he never made any other synchro besides that, which is, well, I guess, awesome. Round 4, another Bayou Turbo. 2-0'd him as well. Round 5 was when I played. What did I play? I really don't recall. Oh, Gladiator Beast. Gladiator Beast. 2-0'd him. I came back somehow. He had a Laquari 4 back row, and I came back with no Trunade and ended up black rosing his field. And then I powered Avarice into 4 cards, and he had 1 card. So that's how I beat him. Round 6 was my feature match versus Chris Coltros. I can't really say his name. And I 2-0'd him too. Round 7 was my friend Thomas Vo. He was running plants, Tengu plants, and I 2-0'd him. And then round 8, I played last match of Saturday. I played Sabres, both undefeated, and I 2-0'd him, smashed him. He didn't even know. By the end, he didn't even know. He was like, "I still don't know what you're playing," and I was like, "I guess so." And round 9. Saturday morning, Saturday night, I felt really good. Got real easy sleep because I was like almost completely sure, even if I lost both the next day, I'd still top 32. So Sunday morning came around, and it was funny because in the morning we got there at 7:30, but the doors opened at 8:45. So we just sat there, and I just started talking to people. I talked to I forgot his name. I feel bad, but the zombie guy who won last jump. And I was talking to him, and he was cool. And then Paul Leviton was there, and he was undefeated. He was 7-0-1 with a draw. He had a draw, and he was just standing around us, but he didn't really talk to me. He wasn't talking to me. He was just talking to, his teammates and whoever he knew was really good. And then he walks away, and then we talk about the fairy deck, because I know it's still undefeated technically with the draw. And then all of a sudden, 30 seconds later, he turns around, and he comes to me. He's like, "Are you undefeated?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And then he was like, and then he starts talking to me like I matter, which is funny, because I guess he just found out who I was. And that was pretty funny. It was pretty cool. It was, I don't know, it was pretty interesting. And round 9, I go in and play the only undefeated left. It was Gravekeepers, and went to game 3, but I won. And then round 10, I played the Macrocosmos guy, who top 8'd. It was interesting because I technically 3-0'd him. What I mean by that is, game 1, I went first, shooting starred him. He summoned Cyber Valley, set 3, and then I synchroned for Stardust, Book of Moon to Cyber Valley, attack. He actually got over that. He booked my Stardust, Dark Hold, which I negated with Shooting Star, and then he summoned in Torrential. So he actually got past that, but then I just Tengu slapped him to death afterwards. And then game 2, he ended up dark ending me with dark ending my one of my synchros, I forgot what it was, and DD Survivor with a Macrocosmos. And I draw into 3 cards. I have Thunder King, Malevolent Catastrophe, and Giant Trunade with a live glow up bulb in the graveyard. So his Dark End is at 2100, his DD Survivor is at 18, and he has 3 back row. One's a macro. So I activate Giant Trunade, summon Thunder King, and I was just like, I just run over his Dark End and then set Malevolent, because he had 3 back row to set afterwards. But I just wanted to see more hands. I wanted to see more opening hands against that deck, because I wanted to learn more. By that point, I was 9-0, and I could have done anything. I wouldn't have lost no matter what. So I just scooped it up. And I said, let's go to game 3. And people watching were like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Like, is he stupid? And even my teammate, he looked at me, he's like, oh, why didn't you just... And I was like, okay. And then I had to explain to everyone to make it, make it out so I wasn't like an idiot. And I had to tell everyone, even the guy I was playing, like, oh, I don't care about this anymore. I want to see more cards. I want to see more opening hands and live plays. I want to see how his deck works, because I might play him in the top 32, and I don't want to be unprepared. I want to know what to stop, what to MST, what to etc. etc. And so that's it. But I still beat him game 3. And so I went undefeated in the Swiss 10-0. and 30 points. Went to top 32, and this is the interesting part. The Vayu Turbo that I beat round 2, he lost. He went X2 after 3 rounds. He lost to me, then he lost to a top deck Judgment Dragon, and he comes back and wins the next 7 rounds. And because I went undefeated, he got 32nd place. Which crazy, huh? That's why you fight till the end, man. You fight till the end. And yeah, I give him props for that. He went X2 and just kept playing, and went X2 the whole way. And because I went 10-0, he slipped in at 32nd place, and that was pretty good. So we had a rematch and top 32, and it was epic. He took me down game 1. Game 2 I came back with Gores, and so did I get game 3. But game 3 he was forced to, because if he didn't go for the OTK, I would have won regardless without Gores. So if he just went slowly with Card Trooper and Greffer to attack me, I would have won next turn, or I would have had control next turn anyway, even if he didn't go for the OTK. But because he went for the OTK, I Gores and I beat him down faster. So it was a right call by him. I would have probably done the same thing. I had 4 cards in hand, and he had nothing. He had to go for it all. Go for Brokes. And it didn't work out in his favor. Top 16, I played Tyree, and the eventual champion. He was really good. He drew the nuts both times. I summoned, game 1, I had 5 cards in hand, and I was about to summon Genic Sundyne, but I was like, oh, I have to draw 6. And I draw Fishborg. Fishborg out of everything. I drew Fishborg and Treeborn in my opening hand. So that was bad, because I was planning to pitch Fishborg into my graveyard with Genic Sundyne, and then discard Treeborn for Fishborg, and then there'd be my loop. But that didn't happen, so I had to pitch Treeborn Frog, get Genic's controller, and that, and the end turn, no Veilers in hand, and then he just went off Lone Fire, Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, or 1-for-1, whatever, one of those. He had Reborn, Lone Fire, and either Foolish or 1-for-1. I think Foolish. So he had me, and I was holding Treeborn and Fishborg all game almost. And then game 2, he nutted me again. Like, I just didn't have anything. And then when I did have, he had counter for everything. He had a Veiler in hand, a Warning, a Chained Experience, and a Mirror Force. And I couldn't get past all of it. So he got me. And he didn't misplay. He knew what to search. He got the right thing with Tsang. I even tried to bait him into getting a Debris Dragon, but he got a Veiler, and that won it for him for sure. Because I just didn't have enough outs for all his cards. So props to Tyree. He deserves the top for sure. Yeah, he deserves that championship for sure. He doesn't misplay. He's a cool guy. Met him just recently, but he's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's about all. Oh, I guess I'll talk about my deck a little bit. Shout outs to well, Hunter, first of all, this is who I got the deck from. Originally, I saw him play with it, and I liked it a lot, even though there were some deck choices that I didn't really agree with, but I fixed it up. I made it to how I liked it. The extra in the side deck, I definitely changed like almost the whole thing to fit what I thought I would play, and that worked out perfectly because that helped me become undefeated. And shout out to Eli, because we talked about it too. The deck, that's one Swap Frog really did help a lot with the extra Treeborn, and those, just working on those tech cards and all that stuff. And I know this isn't technically an original deck, but I mean, it's not like decks right these days are totally original anyway. I mean, if you're gonna be running plants and Tengu and like this water deck, I mean, it's not like I told Jason, oh, I made this deck up in my by myself. You know, so I've been reading on Pojo that I'm taking credit for what's like something that's not mine, but I didn't really tell anyone that I made this deck. It's just that I played with this deck, and the tech choices that I made, Jason really liked, and he wanted the deck profile, and I gave it to him. And I mean, he didn't really choose wrong. I went undefeated, 10-0, so I mean, haters gonna hate, right? Haters gonna hate. Alright, thanks guys. If you have any questions, let me know. In my next video, I'm gonna talk about each card and why I chose that card, and what other choices I could have made and things like that. I'll explain my extra deck and my side deck choices and everything like that. Alright? 3Z Inferno signing out.